Hi there, and thanks for tuning in, and welcome to the session, Developer Platform State of the Union for Google Workspace. In this session, we're going to look at what's new and exciting that's been recently released and what's on the roadmap for Google Workspace for developers. But we're also going to start off with a little bit of an overview of the platform. If you're new to it, you're curious about what do we mean by a developer platform, and introduce you to that. So with that, let's start off first with some introductions just so you know who we are. I'm Charles Maxson. I'm a developer advocate here at Google, and I talk about, as you would imagine, Google Workspace as developer platform. Joining me today is Steve Bazyl. And again, if you're not new to the platform and you've worked with some of our tools or some of our samples or some of our kits or seen some of the other videos, you'll know this guy, Steve Bazyl. He's been around for a while and one of the best well-known folks that built on Google Workspace as a platform. Steve, introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Charles. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Bazyl. I've been around Workspace for quite a while, and I have a lot of exciting updates for what's been happening in the last year and some announcements for what's coming up, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes.
That's awesome. I really look forward to your part of the session. But first, what I would love to do is kind of refresh for folks who may not know or may not be paying that close of attention of what do we mean by developer workspace as a platform, and then also talk about maybe again, if you're brand new or you're not interested, or maybe you're skeptical, want to help you understand that. Now, by the way, of course, if you tune in and you have a pretty good idea what the platform is, feel free to move the bar a little and scoot up the playlist and jump right to the new part of the section. But with that, let me start with a little bit of an overview just to get folks that may not know what we're talking about when we talk about Workspace as a developer platform. Okay, so first of all, what I want to talk about and why this is interesting if you're a developer is really the opportunity of working with Google Workspace as a platform. So if you think about it, the beauty of Workspace is you can reach people where they work, right? If you think about it, right, we've got literally billions of users, millions of businesses. We literally have hundreds of millions of students and educators using Workspace every single day. It's really the epicenter of the way people work to get their jobs done. And so if you think about that, all these applications, all these users, all the content they create and the context that they're working with it, it's a great place to build a solution that can be used by millions of people or just the folks in your organizations to really get more out of Workspace to work the way they would work best with it. So for developers, when you think about it, we have a series of tools and frameworks and APIs that allow you to connect with all of those users that are engaging with Workspace every day. So you think about it, it's an opportunity to build solutions on top of Workspace, within Workspace, and to leverage Workspace to integrate it with your solution, with your apps, with your services, to build a better experience for all those users. And again, all in the same place. So let's take a look at what I mean when I say Google Workspace as a developer platform. So of course, you know it as a series of business productivity tools that users get more work done, collaborate together, communicate together, critical part of their daily lives. Now, when you think about that though, and how this falls in as a traditional development platform, what's not unique about it is you have the ability to use the data, the tools, and other services outside of Workspace to bring it together to build solutions. So think about it. On top, we've got the apps that people know and love, Doc, Sheet, Slide, Gmail, etc. But we also have the ability to work with data, the data within your solution, the data within Workspace, the data that people may use in the cloud, on-premise, even data stored in spreadsheets, things like Gmail or contacts or whatever folks use inside of Workspace is also capable of being part of your solution. Real free use of data is super powerful, super effective. Now, when you think of the core part for developers though, we're a little unique from other platforms, right? First of all, we've got these applications that you work with that give you a lot of the functionality out of the box or out of the service, so to speak. As a developer though, we also give you a bunch of APIs, a bunch of tools, and a bunch of frameworks that you can build solutions with. Now, very unique to Workspace, it's available to users of all levels of development skill set, right? Sure, you can be a full stack developer and you can be very effective building solutions, but you also can be a business user, right? We have a full gamut of tools that we offer. So it's not just for full development purposes, it's also for folks that maybe aren't necessarily identifying as developers, maybe don't have the skills or time to actually build full-blown solutions from a development stack, but they too can participate in part of the solution building experience. And so whether you call them creators, or you call them builders or citizen developers or power users, whatever your word is, we see folks being effective even at the very beginning of the stack. And this is super awesome. One of the tools that they can use and engage with is something called AppSheet. Now, AppSheet's a relatively new family member. It's available both as a standalone app and as part of some of the Workspace SKUs. So it's included with some of the Workspace product. The neat thing about it, it's kind of like the name implies, it allows you to turn sheets, spreadsheets, and spreadsheet-like technology and spreadsheet-like skills into full-blown applications that are beautiful web and mobile-based solutions. The beauty of it, again, as I mentioned, it's a no-code solution, meaning essentially anybody can build one of these solutions on it. So it's a great starting point for, either building a solution that solves a critical problem for an end user, or a great prototyping tool to get started, a great way of actually solving some key problems pretty fast, even if you are a full-blown developer. Great opportunity to build things quickly. On top of that, we also have something called AppScript. AppScript's been around for a while. And again, if you're familiar with the platform, this tool. It's been around for almost since the very beginning. The neat thing about it is it's built into Workspace. So what that means is all the components that you need, the IDE, the runtime, the ability to actually work very closely with all of the objects and all the applications in the platform are right there at your disposal. So it's real simple and easy to use. Some of the hard things like authentication and deployment are masked from you, so it's not that hard. So the beauty of that is it's a low-code solution, meaning you can get things done faster. And so a great opportunity. That said, though, if you're a professional developer and you want to build solutions that integrate into the platform or extend the platform or do massive automations of the platform, you can definitely do that. We've got some frameworks specifically around add-ons and chatbots to let you build solutions that way. And of course, again, if you want to use your own stack or your own tools or whatever the case may be, you're not limited to just our frameworks and our AppScript and things like that. You can use your APIs that we make available, and you can actually build solutions that way. So super neat, super nimble. Again, something for everybody, which is unique about the platform. The other neat thing about Workspace, again, it's all cloud-based, it's all server-based. It also works very nicely with things like GCP. So you think about that, you can have that familiar interface of an application, which is Workspace, that powerful back end, if you will, of GCP to do things like have a spreadsheet powered by AI or whatever the use case you come up with. A lot of great solutions you can build. And then again, also, it's a very open platform. So if you're not a GCP user and you want to use other platforms, you can definitely do that too. And Steve's going to touch on one of our new enhancements in a few moments, which allows you to use your own stack of solution with some of our stuff, so you can be totally agnostic of what you're using to build solutions with Workspace. Okay, so that said, though, I also like to point out what's uniquely different about Workspace as a platform. Because again, you are building with productivity tools in mind and the way users work within context of it. So I like to look at the building blocks that a solution offers you. So for example, if you think about it, what is Workspace at the end of the day? What are users doing? What are they creating? What are they fixated on? And it's everything from artifacts like sheets, docs, and slides, or content they put in Drive, or emails that they're sending, or tasks or contacts. All of these things are available for you to build solutions on, whether you can harvest those as data or create those from your solutions to help users get more done in a way that works better for your use cases. So data and content is a super huge part of it. It's one of the first important building blocks. The next building block is where developers come in, right? We've got a series of tools and frameworks which makes this easier, right? So instead of you harnessing this and having to do all the heavy lifting, we've got things like AppScript to make you do it fast. We have the ability to do, again, add-ons and chatbots, which are super important. And then, of course, full-blown development with our API. So really good tools to get started, again, to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then on top of that, what's really important when you're building solutions for Workspace is really about that user experience. And as a developer, you can jump right into the user experience by not just getting the context of how they work from the content, but also by poking into the interface. Put your UX right on top of ours, right next to ours. So for example, I can build an add-on and have my solution side by side with things like Gmail or Drive or Workspace, Docs, Sheets, or Slide, whatever the case may be. And it's super interesting. I can also poke into the editors, for example, and put menus up there. I can pop up dialogues. I can even make emails dynamic and interactive with AMP for email. So a lot of great ways to really extend the experience for users, which is very unique with Workspace as a platform. And then finally, wrapping it all up is making your solutions discoverable. That's whether you're building these for your organization or just for a certain business unit within your organization. You can publish to your domain solutions that you build, Or if you want to actually leverage the billions of users with your solution that you build, you can publish with Google Workspace Marketplace and reach those multiple billions of users around the world with your solution. So that said, why don't we switch over to Steve and take a look at the platform updates? There's a lot of great new things and a lot of great things coming. So Steve, jump in and tell us all about them, please.
There's been a lot going on involving extensibility for Workspace. That ranges from AppScript and add-ons and chat apps to new REST APIs for integrating Workspace into your apps. So I'm going to take a look at some recent improvements and a few things that are on the horizon. I'll kick it off with a quick update on AppScript. If you're an AppScript user, you're likely already familiar with the new IDE and the updated engine that enables modern JavaScript syntax. One of the things I'm really excited about coming up is version history and management. You'll be able to track changes to your code over time or roll back changes if you happen to introduce a bug. And of course, you can also manage your code with tools like GitHub and Clasp if you need more powerful SCM features. Also on the roadmap are improvements to the publishing flow to make it easier to share your solutions and customizations with other users. And if you're new to AppScript or just a casual user, you'll also see improvements to the getting started experience along with more templates and examples to help you get up to speed faster. Moving on to add-ons, Workspace add-ons became generally available earlier this year. For those not yet familiar, these are small apps or extensions that live inside Workspace. Typically, they're in a sidebar, but they can appear in other contexts as well. They embed commonly used custom functionality into Workspace to help users get things done and minimize context switching. Add-ons can also access and react to the context of what the user is doing, such as the current email or a document they're viewing. And that ability to tap into context is incredibly powerful. It reduces the time it takes to complete a task, and it can be used to proactively surface information, such as sales or support data, when they're engaging with a customer. We're seeing some really great add-ons from partners like Adobe and DocuSign that are delivering real value for users. And the new unified approach makes it easier to develop add-ons that work across Workspace. These are great add-ons, both to use if you're a user, as well as to learn from if you're building your own. In addition to making it easier to develop across Workspace, we've been making add-ons more accessible to developers. Originally only available with AppScript, add-ons can now be written in any language. If you prefer AppScript, that's great. But if you've invested in other tools and infrastructure, you can continue to leverage that for most use cases. And to help you get started, check out the code lab linked in the video description. We've also released some new tools to assist in building add-ons. Add-ons and chatbots, which we'll get to soon, have their own UI framework that provides consistency across the various surfaces and platforms where things appear. The card builder tool is great for rapidly prototyping interfaces and collaborating on those designs within your team. And even better, it also generates the JSON and the AppScript code for your add-on or bot. And you could just drop that in and use it with just a few small tweaks. You'll find a link to that tool and a few other design resources in the add-ons documentation. And along with the Card Builder app, we've added a few more widgets to the UI framework to make add-ons and bots more expressive. Most notably is the new grid widget. It's great for things like selecting from a set of stock photos or data visualizations, or maybe you need to display a dense list for a file picker or an org structure. And there's more coming. Looking forward, there's some new capabilities for add-ons that I want to talk, including better support for calendar attachments. This was teased as part of the recently announced partnership with Miro. It allows add-ons to create or select content from another system related to an event. It could be a collaborative document or a project plan, for example. While this is a small feature, this previously required a much more complex solution, like Chrome extensions to display a content picker and update the description field of the event. And this new approach is both simpler for developers and simpler for users. And even better, the link content is displayed more prominently for the users. Take a look at session GWS 108 for more details about how Miro and others are leveraging the platform. Chatbots, or as I like to call them, chat apps, are also gaining more capabilities. We recently launched support for /commands and dialogues. This opens up new ways for users to interact with bots beyond conversations. Dialogues also bring support for additional UI widgets, including the grid that I mentioned earlier. To help you take advantage of these features, we've added a new code lab, and you'll find that link in the video description. Link unfurling is also new. This is a great feature for adding useful context to a conversation when a user shares a link. Register URL patterns your bot can handle, and if the bot is installed, it'll receive a notification. It can then respond with additional details or a card that provides more actionable information for users. It also helps a user discover your bot. If they share a link that your bot can handle, chat will let them know about it. And one more thing while we're talking about chat. There's a new Jira bot available. Not only is it a great bot that you should check out if you use Jira, but it's also a showcase of a lot of the features mentioned. It also implements some other best practices, such as throttling and batching notifications. And this is a great technique for bots that push notifications into spaces. It provides a nice balance between providing timely updates to users for important events without overwhelming them with too frequent notifications. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about REST APIs. These continue to play an important role in integrating solutions and automating processes with Workspace. The Forms API is now in public beta. This new API can be used to both automate the creation of forms and listen for submissions via Cloud PubSub. There are a lot of interesting use cases, ranging from creating automated event feedback forms or quiz generation in education. And the PubSub support makes it easier to monitor and respond to those submissions in real time. For domain administrators and those building tools for them, there are a number of new APIs available. There are new APIs for managing policies for Chrome and Chrome OS, specifically the new CUPS printer management API. And this joins some other new capabilities in the directory API for managing Chrome policies. Identity management has also improved with better support for groups. This includes support for dynamic groups where the membership is determined by user attributes, and also better audit logging of group membership changes. There's also a new Keep API. It's not a full-featured Keep API yet, but it is targeted at enterprise use cases, specifically for data loss prevention and auditing. A few other APIs have seen some small but important updates. Quota enforcement for the calendar API is now on a per-minute basis instead of a daily limit. This brings calendar into alignment with other Workspace APIs, and it avoids hard fails when the daily quota is exhausted. The Drive API also added support for resource keys. This is a security improvement that further protects link shared files and limits the guessability of URLs. Not all apps and files are affected by the addition of resource keys, but some use of the Drive API will require updates when accessing these files. You'll find a lot more information about the change in the Drive API documentation. And at I/O earlier this year, we revealed the new Smart Canvas feature in Docs that allows you to easily reference people, dates, tasks, and other documents in your Docs. The Docs API has been updated to provide additional information about these objects when reading the content. You'll find more in the Docs API and AppScript developer guides. Before moving on, let's not forget the announcement of the Enterprise API deprecation policies. We know deprecations and breaking changes are very challenging to deal with, and for most Workspace APIs, there's now a stronger commitment to stability and giving developers like yourself ample time to adapt to changes. One last topic, Workspace Marketplace. If you'd like to share your solution with other users, whether that's internally for your organization or to potential customers, the Marketplace brings all that together. To help users better find the right solution for them, we've refreshed the marketplace and added new curated categories and a recommended by Google program. This highlights apps from developers that are providing high-quality user experiences and integrations with Workspace. We'll also be exposing additional trust and security signals for administrators and users to increase transparency around data usage and other policies. Coming up are more controls for administrators when installing apps to better target groups and organizational units and better manage which apps end users can install and use. Oh, and one last thing. Chat apps are coming to the marketplace. This should improve discovery and enable more flexible deployment options, such as the ability for admins to deploy them across an organization. That's all for me. Charles, back to you.
Awesome, Steve. That was an amazing list of new capabilities, both released and on the horizon. And so if you're a developer of Workspace and you've built solutions in the past, and you're excited about a lot of these new things like Steve mentioned, you're probably asking yourself, well, how do I keep up? And how do I actually learn how to build these in my solutions and do it so that I'm ready once they're available for general availability? And I'd like to announce that we have a new developer preview program that we're launching to allow you to do so. So with the developer preview program, once you sign up for the program, you'll be able to get access to the information about what we're building, actually be able to use the bits in your solution so you actually can try them, see how they work, hopefully give us great feedback or help us correct things to make sure we get it right when we release the solution, but most importantly, allow you to build it so these capabilities will go live in your applications once they go live in our stack as well too. So a great opportunity. To sign up, we've got more information here to link to explain how do you do that. It's open to all members of our Partner Advantage program. We've got a little QR code if you want to check that out real easily as well too. I'd love for you to sign up and have you participate and be a part of our early preview program. Okay, so that said, Steve also went through so many different resources that are available. You're probably thinking, how do I find all those things? You may not have taken them all in, and I love all those resources are out there. The easiest way to find those resources is our very common handy documentation that resides at developers.google.com/workspace. Again, got a little QR code there to find it. If you're a developer on the platform already, you probably know that link. If you're not new, that is the great starting off point to find everything that Steve was talking about, so it's in there. We also have a new developer community we've just released. We've actually technically built it onto our Google Workspace admin community. So this is super awesome. You can come in, even if you're asking non-developer questions, it's a great place for you to mingle with other users. Other Googlers and PMs are in there as well too, as well as customers and community members are all participating in and talking about it. So again, second link down there, you can see we've got a short link in and a QR code. Do check that out, join the community. We love your feedback. We love your insights. We love your expertise to share with the community. Also, another great way to stay in touch, we have a developer newsletter. The developer newsletter we publish on a monthly basis. It talks about all these new things as they're being announced. Shows you how to use them, gives you great resources. You also can hear from other developers and other partners what they're doing, what the solutions they are building, and stay in touch with the community through the newsletter as well too. So a great resource. Please subscribe to that as well too. And then finally, all these things coming out in Workspace, not just for developers, but for the betterment of the product and really enhancing the way users work. You can find out those about Workspace updates on the Google blog. Again, short link there so you can actually find it, or QR code, but sign up and subscribe to those as well too. So therefore you stay in touch with all the great functionality you have. So first of all, I want to thank Steve for that great update, all that functionality he boiled down into a few short moments. But most of all, I want to thank you for your time, for your participation, for your loyalty to building on the platform. We love to see and hear from you what you're building. We also love your feedback on what the functionality is you have. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, say thank you, and I hope to see what you're building soon on Google Developer Workspace.